All right, hockey people, what's up? So today I do want to talk a little bit about Buffalo and San Jose. Now, this is a tale of two cities. Both teams have been to the Stanley Cup final at least once. They have lost it. They have never won it. Um, let's see. No, the cities respectively do not have any Big Four championships. Now, San Jose, if you want to include Oakland, San Francisco, and Santa Clara, and all that, I mean, go ahead and consider it, or anything. Everything else in the Bay Area basically won something, but San Jose's the lone dog in that one. These ha cities have had stars coming up back in the day, and they came so close to winning Stanley Cups each time, but they just could not get it done. When they were all, you know, when they actually made it, didn't get there. And today, they both have the potential to break their playoff droughts. Now, Buffalo's is a little longer. It's been since 2011 since they last made it. I think after 15 years, you're going to find a way to make it regardless. Tage Thompson the is essentially the best player on the Sabres, and Macklin Celebrini is the best player on the Sharks. I don't expect these two to meet in the Stanley Cup Finals this time around. Absolutely not. I think that you will be able to point to a lot of third liners and fourth liners on these teams who get it done. Now, the Sabres seem to have found their spark. 5-3 win over Montreal the last time they played them, and the Sharks seem to be holding their own. They defeated my Washington Capitals 3-2 in regulation. And I think you could argue the Capitals lost that one more than the Sharks won it, but still, I think when you have 19-year-old Macklin Celebrini and a young Will Smith and Nedeljkovic in your lineup, I think that they're going to make the playoffs. What would it mean for San Jose if they made it? Well, you could make the argument for Macklin Celebrini that he deserves the MVP. I mean, bro is carrying this team on his back right now. Um, like over 70 points at this point of the season for him, um, and everyone is starting to fall in love with San Jose hockey. And honestly, I felt bad for them, like for the past, 2, 3 years, because they were just so bad. They were awful. They were having awful seasons, and they like barely could get 10 wins and 10 regulation wins, and it sucked too. And when they lost the first round pick, um, I guess in the previous year before they picked Celebrini in, I believe, 24, they lost out on they lost out on Connor Bedard. Now, I will always argue that I think Celebrini is the better player. No disrespect to Connor Bedard. He's doing a lot in Chicago, and Chicago is one of the largest major media markets in all of North America. You have to play under lights. You have to play in a very big population area, and it's not easy. San Jose is part of the Bay Area, but San Jose represents its own part. It's not San Francisco. It's not even Oakland. It's its own thing out in the East Bay, if I'm not mistaken. It's that. Buffalo is, if I could pull up something right now, Buffalo has represents the Western, essentially, upstate New York, of everything. And And are there Yankees fans in Buffalo? Yes. Are there Mets fans in Buffalo? Yes. Are there Nets and Knicks fans there? Yes. But it's Bills and Sabres. It is Bills and Sabres right now over there. And unfortunately, now for the Bills are out. The Bills and oddly enough, here's another thing that I didn't think about before I recorded. The Bills and the Sabres, right? They they both no, Bills and the Sabres. Bills and the Niners, the 49ers, they both came out. They got out of the NFL playoffs, and that is unfortunate too. And Bills came very close to beating Denver, didn't make it there. Niners were literally, trampled on in Seattle, and don't know what's going to happen there, but in the Super Bowl. But right now, I'm rooting for Chicago in that. So also, yeah, so Bills never won it. In Santa Clara, the Niners haven't won it in a while. It has still been a while since we did have a championship come out of either of these areas. Giants haven't won since 2014. Um, the Athletics are now in Sacramento. The Warriors not there. Don't know about MLS, and Buffalo doesn't have an MLS team. They have the Bills and the Sabres, and they never won anything. Came came close every time they got in their respective championship at this point. So I have that right there. Where is I think now Benson, you can point to Benson, you can point to Thompson right now. You can point to a lot of guys um at this point. Alex Tuck has actually been probably a little bit surprising to me. He's has 17 goals on the season. He's got 23 assists for 40 points, but he's played in 46 games. And the only one that is a point per game player is Tage Thompson. McLeod is still gonna keep it in check. You have Jack Quinn as well in Buffalo. So you can have a lot of things going together, going right at KeyBank Center. Speaking of a tale of two cities, let's talk about the arenas. The SAP Center, Shark Tank, that has been their home for decades. KeyBank Center has been implemented in the same era of arenas, and everything has been standard. There have been renovations to both. Do I think we could see these two teams in a Stanley Cup final? I'm going to say yes on that. We're going to see them face off against each other in 2032, baby. 6 more years. That's my prediction. I think that's going to be a bit crazy to put out there, but don't put it past it. I think it would be good for hockey to have a really fresh start, whether the Sharks do get into a dynasty at some point, which part of me feels like could happen, especially because only Wayne Gretzky has outscored him in his teenage years. I mean, Celebrini has outscored Crosby at this point in terms of points, but only I think to this point in his career, only Wayne Gretzky has outscored him. But Gretzky's like really far out there though. So there's that. Um, do I think the Sabres could get into a dynasty? I think that they just need, a couple more key pieces to get it, to get it right. Now, there has been an argument that Artem Panarin could still get in and get on the Sabres, and he could be, you know, another New York team getting in there and still and also the Sabres breaking that playoff drought. I think that they need to, you know, at least try and go get him. I'm not certain if they can get Panarin, but they've got to at least try at this point. You know, you have you have Thompson, you have McLeod, you have Zucker, you have Benson. You cannot let these guys hang out to dry. And I think Panarin's going to be your key piece. And honestly, I don't know if the Big Apple was ever for him because some people just struggle in New York. Look at how many people came over to the Yankees. Cody Bellinger couldn't was better in LA than he was in New York. And the New York media is so harsh too. New York City, not state. Buffalo's its own thing. But it is the largest city in the continent, and you do not want and people just can't handle that pressure. It's much easier to succeed in a place such as Columbus and still do good things there, and you have less pressure on you and you can still succeed as well. Um, and but you could also point to, you know, even Cincinnati too, like Ellie De La Cruz, he's still doing it there. He's still doing great things. And I think that and I think that when you're in smaller medium markets, you have less pressure on you, you have a little less eyeballs, you can concentrate more on your game. You're not going to get hung up on bad interviewers and bad, paparazzis and that of the sort. You can focus on yourself. San Jose sort of gives that at least, and San Francisco is not the biggest city in the country. I still think that they're behind Philadelphia in terms of population, but San Jose itself gives that out, and it still lets you be in the Bay Area and enjoy the nice weather there. So that's probably why Celebrini you know, doing as well as he is because he's not in cold Chicago right now. He's not facing harsh winters. He's still finding ways to succeed. And he's from Vancouver, British Columbia. He's got it. He plays well in warmer climates, you know, and that's another thing too. Buffalo is the colder city. It snows there. The ponds freeze. They do not freeze in San Jose. These, you know, you know, and are these two cities rivals? They are not rivals. Could they become rivals if we see something like what we've seen with the Panthers and the Oilers for the last two Stanley Cups? Could that happen? Yeah, I do think that can happen. I do think it would be great for hockey to have these two markets just thrive. The Panthers represented South Florida and Miami, and Buffalo's going to represent upstate and western New York. San Jose will represent the Bay Area. I think that, you get two diverse markets, one that's a traditional cold climate and the other where you have, cable cars and tech and a lot of rich people living there who just bring about so much to North Cal and just have that North Cal vibe because we've seen so much of SoCal being represented whether it was LA, San Diego, or Anaheim being represented, you know, let's get two markets in there that don't typically get a whole lot of love. And it does make you pay attention too. And that's how I think that you can have a great, wonderful time with, watching hockey too. Because, it also gets fair weather fans interested, and then they get to decide how, who to root for in a Stanley Cup final. And sometimes your team's not going to make it. So I say it's always a good thing for smaller markets to succeed in hockey. And hey, maybe I'm wrong on this, but we have two potential teams breaking their playoff droughts and just getting in. Even if they lose all four games, I still think that's a good thing. And four games respective to the series that each of them will have to play in. I think that you're going to see some good things come out of both teams this season. If both teams get into the playoffs, I think that's going to be a great thing for hockey. Regardless if the Avalanche win the cup or I don't know who else I could point to that could win the Stanley Cup at this point out east. All I'm thinking of is Colorado. Maybe Minnesota pulls off an upset and gets into the finals for the first time, but I'm not seeing that. But I'm just still very happy that both the Sabres and the Sharks can go out there and possibly break their playoff droughts. So that'll do it for this episode or this video rather. And just let me know what you think of this video. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. And with that being said, take care.